Hello fellow leggers, thank you for joining us. We are in London, in London's West End at the Donmar warehouse.
And we're here to see European premiere of a sort of modern adaptation of William Shakespeare's Richard III, made for a millennial generation.
Called Teenage Dick! What a title.
I know, right? I don't know what I've signed up for tonight, but stick around to find out all of our thoughts.
Find out how many stars.
Whether it's break a leg or leg it.
I'm quite excited about this one.
Yeah.
I saw it like in a previous programme, I think, and the premise looks quite exciting.
Well, it's a bit interesting, something a little bit different, and I do like it because those Shakespearean plots are so, like, they stand the test of time so well.
There's a lot in them.
They span the generations, and to bring it bang up to date in a retelling like this, I think, like you say, it's quite exciting. It's a play by Mike Lew, first performed at the Public Theatre in New York in 2018. For those of you that don't know, the Public Theatre is sort of like the National Theatre in New York. It's their version.
Lots of spaces, lots of stuff going on there.
Of the National. UK premiere here at the Donmar, directed by the Donmar's artistic director himself, Michael Longhurst.
The new artistic director for this year,
this is just his second production here as artistic director.
Right.
Teenage Dick is a reimagined Shakespeare's Richard III, a darkly comic interpretation set in the action in an American high school as disabled student Richard Gloucester, see what they've done there?
Right.
Experiences his own winter of discontent. You see what I did there?
See what I
did there?
Nice.
When he runs for his class president in his junior year.
Okay.
Fantastically diverse cast for this, and also differently abled cast.
Yeah.
It has Daniel Monk's in the role of Richard, or Dick himself. Daniel's an Australian Academy Award nominee for the movie Pulse, which he wrote, produced and edited and played the lead himself. Also in the cast in the role of Buck is BAFTA nominee Ruth Madeley, who recently played Rosie Lyons in the Russell T Davies BBC series Years and Years. Sound design by Olivier Woodwinners, Ben and Max Ringham, an hour and 50 straight through, so no interval breakdown, but stick around to the end, find out how many stars.
And we'll catch you then.
I gotta say, fellow leggers, one thing I am grateful for is it's a bit zippier than your average Shakespeare, isn't it? Because they do tend to drag on a little bit. They're a bit epic as a Shakespeare, but we've condensed it right down here for Teenage Dick. 1 hour 50 absolutely flew by for me.
It felt fast.
Yeah.
It did feel fast. I didn't feel as if it was dragging at all.
And by and large, I really enjoyed it.
I did as well.
Good. Thank God we're agreed on something.
So the story is actually, I thought the story was really strong. There's so much going on. Obviously, you said at the start, Richard III.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's very much based in history. They've modernised it to a high school in America. At first, I was thinking, is this going to translate? Because this is a British story about British monarchy.
Yeah,
and
about
yet
the War of the
we've
Roses,
got
right?
that, and we've moved it to America. Is it going to work? But it does. It does work.
Do you know why it works? Because those Shakespeare plot devices and in history is universal. Things like power struggles, greed, corruption, manipulation. They're all there in this text. University, or high school, I should say, is a power struggle.
There's a lot
different
going on.
pecking orders. You're never sure of the group
I thought that's what this added as well, because it does show the kind of teenage angst, the wanting to be accepted.
And popular.
How do you get that? And how do you become popular when already the world is against you? We take for granted, I guess, our able-bodied privilege.
Yes.
And this is kind of telling the story from what if you don't have that privilege?
That's it. And Richard III is historically the most sort of famous disabled character, I would say, and certainly in Shakespeare. And these actors, you know, many of which are differently abled, absolutely show their ability, and the fact that I think we're moving towards a world. If this had been out even 20 years ago, there would have been abled actors playing disabled characters, and that would have been I nearly swore then, but it would have been an absolute travesty, to be honest with you. But it's given these differently abled actors a platform. It's also cast them specific to role. Thank God for that.
And I think it gives a voice. It tells a narrative, an interpretation that we don't always hear.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? From that point of view, what is it like? And it's great because we've got this character, Dick, the Richard, in real conflict on, you know, does he want to continue with this plan, this Machiavellian dark plan?
To become bum-class president.
Yeah, and
or
it's almost
king in the Richard III, right?
Yeah.
I mean, king of the high school in this.
And part of it does feel uncomfortable. I'm thinking, do you know, I really want to feel for this character, but actually what you're doing is quite dark,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's justifiable, but those inner monologues are played on. You follow that narrative through. I think it's really well written and really well adapted.
Yeah.
The adaptation is so good. There's
also,
loads of stuff in there.
It's also awkwardly hilarious at times because it doesn't shy away from laughing at the situation or people that are differently able, being able to laugh at themselves and sort of take a little bit of, you know, the situation I'm in feels normal for me, but I understand how it would feel abnormal for you. And finding that funny and the audience sort of, the awkward laughter I really enjoyed. There was it's a very knowing piece when it comes to tackling those topics
it was quite
of
meta.
being disabled.
It was quite
very
meta theatre,
yeah.
and it was quite funny, as
Yeah.
you said. This character Dick, although he's quite dark, we're very much on his side a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, this is going too far, but I understand why you're going too far, but I still don't agree, but let's go on this journey.
Yeah, I mean, we have to try and talk about it, try and not give too much away, because I would recommend that you definitely come and see this piece. So, if you know Richard III, you will sort of follow the plot lines, but it goes off onto its own modern tangents.
I'm always thinking, do you need to know Richard III to enjoy this? Not at all.
It will have
stands
an
on its
extra
own.
level, though.
But I've seen it. We've seen it before,
Yeah.
and there's almost elements of the text
Because-
in there, and you can follow it, and you're like, that's quite clever.
Yeah,
I see how you've dropped that in.
From a political point of view, Dick tends to talk in this Shakespearean style language. He drops in phrases from Richard III, and the characters react to that. It's like, why are you talking like this?
Well,
like,
no one says
where
stuff
are you getting?
and
No
thou.
one
What are
does
you
speak
doing?
like this anymore.
Yeah.
But it sort of gives him a power. It gives him a sort of intellectual power, I think, over the other characters.
And he does have
because
that.
he has an understanding of it. Do you know
Yeah.
what? Genius in the writing. Some real amazing moments, and
Really
so
enjoyed
well
it.
observed.
Shall we go on to this production
Yeah,
as
let's
well
go on
then?
to this production.
I really enjoyed the production. It's a stripped back cast of 6 people, I think, in
Yeah.
total, and therein lies its downfall for
Yes,
me.
I would
in that
agree.
it lacked its epicness and its scale. We're talking about a high school with lots. They've got these kind of classroom scenes, but there's only 4 people in there, and it needs more. It needs an ensemble cast.
It needs people
space to flesh it
add
out.
their voice to a situation.
We
in
always had
order.
the stripped back version.
Yeah.
This was, and at its core, it's great. It
Yeah.
stands on its own, but in order to be, it needs a bigger cast.
Yeah, because it needs that. It needs people to bounce off. We need to understand how characters have got to that place that they're in already.
Yeah,
We're
I
sort
agree.
of. We have to. It's a big ask of the audience for me, and almost a little bit too much at the times to try and understand the position that these kids are in when other characters are mentioned or are just used in sound design as offstage voices.
Which works nicely.
But it could be epic, and that's it. It's the lack of scale which sort of lets this down in terms of production. I was thinking whilst I was in there the whole time, there could be a Netflix series in this.
I was thinking exactly
There
the
could-
same thing.
it could be
Netflix
written.
needs to suck this
Yeah,
up. This is a series that'll be
Either-
gold.
Yeah, either make it 2 acts, make it 3 hours long, and give us all those characters and those different the opportunity to develop those characters.
Yes,
Or
maybe.
turn it into a 6-part Netflix series.
6-part Netflix series is what I saw.
Yes.
I think there's enough in there. There's enough really clear plot points to
Yeah.
go up and down and
It
for us to be a
felt
real
like
cliffhanger of an episode.
a great start.
Netflix, if you are out there, you need
Yeah.
to snap this up.
Come and see this.
Flesh
and
it out.
You could flesh this out. Get Mike
It'll
Lew
be a
on board.
hit.
Building some new characters. And like I say,
Yes.
it feels like a really strong starting point, but it feels like it could be taken further.
Definitely.
In terms of production design, I really liked some of the elements, although it is just a single stage, single state, with a few sort of set pieces coming bobbing on and off a little bit. I thought the video design was excellent.
Yes, because you've got social media elements as well.
Which is so modern,
So you've
right?
got projection,
So
kind
current.
of showing what the feeds are of Twitter. You've also got like their live videoing, Insta Live or whatever
Using
it is.
selfie sticks on their phones
Yeah.
with no lag. Do you know who needs to come and see this?
It's Ivo.
Van Hove. Because
Yes,
he
when
cannot.
we're at the,
he's
National-
never got lag right. We're always seeing something on screen 3-4 seconds after it's actually happened.
Whereas
no
he was
lag
pretty,
in this.
pretty like minuscule.
Evo.
It was
Take some tips, man.
yeah, really good video design.
Yeah,
there.
and that was by Andrzej Goulding. Just thought it was brilliant, actually. It also did And Juliet. That has some great video elements in it too.
It did.
Really liked it.
Okay, so
sound by Ben and Max Ringham. I found that to be really necessary here to fill in those spaces where we didn't have ability of scale.
Yes.
So hearing an audience reaction.
when they're kind of giving their speech to the whole school
And the
there's no one there.
reactions that it would
I was
be,
gonna
'cause there's no
say,
one there.
There's something they could be touching on something about imagination, because the prologue for Henry V, I think it is along the lines of you've got to use your imagination
Okay.
when we're talking about the king and the court.
Well, 'cause we ain't got the money.
We can't
Is that what
reenact
you're
the
saying?
battlefields
Ain't
of
got the
Agincourt,
space,
for
ain't got the
example.
money.
And I almost wonder if that's what they're going for here, because I was having to fill in the gaps.
Mm.
I was running through that Netflix series in my head as I was watching it with all the ensemble cast there, so I guess I was forced to use my imagination.
Okay.
But anyway.
And brought to life by Ben and Max's sound.
And that helped amplify that, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Should we go on to, what else?
I just
Lighting was good.
Yeah, I want to say Sinead McKenna on lighting as well. Let's move on to cast now, and let's start right at the top with Daniel Monks in the role of Richard Gloucester.
I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
He's a sensation. He was
like-
born to play this part.
Yeah, and talk about a part written for him.
Yeah.
This is a part written for him, and it gives
I mean,
him
he
so
didn't
much.
He's not originator of
He
this
never-
role.
It's as if,
No.
he's always
It's-
done it,
it's
and
as
he
if-
is
it's as
the
if he's
show. He's gone
workshopped
with
it.
it everywhere. I cannot see anybody else doing this.
No.
He played the spectrum, the
Yeah.
anger, the love, the hate, the rage, the
With such
manipulation,
sincerity
all of
and
it.
desperation. I felt this sort of desperate longing to be accepted, and it came across as the decisions he was making. He ultimately reflected on and realised that they weren't the right thing to do. But in the individual moments, he could only seem to be able to move from one, like desperation state into the other, and he didn't think about the consequence of all of his actions. And when it unravelled, for me, this was a better Dear Evan Hansen for me.
Okay,
Do you
you're
know,
entitled to your opinion.
But do you know, in terms of someone
Yeah,
making
no,
bad
it's
decisions
another great
and
story.
it's snowballing, and then
Yes.
before you know it, it's out of control.
I see what you're saying.
The believability in the writing and in the performance by Daniel Monks, for me, was better than I'd seen in similar things.
Okay, there we
So,
go.
Break Awards nomination.
Break a leg of nomination. I was
Yeah,
going to
break
say
a
the
leg
same
up.
thing. I'm glad we're agreeing.
Great, Daniel Monks for the role of Richard Gloucester in Teenage Dick here at the Donmar Warehouse.
Fantastic driving of the piece. He doesn't leave the stage, I don't think, either.
No.
It's
Barely.
full on.
Yeah,
Full on
barely
for
leaves
him.
the stage.
Just for a quick costume change here and there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, all of the cast, all six of them were
six of
good
them.
and are given a huge amount to do. But I would also mention Sienna Kelly in the role of Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
She's the unwitting, and I would say unwitting, love interest in this, who sort of finds herself in a situation that she didn't anticipate when she started. She has this, there's pity in her performance, yet there's
Yeah.
sort of affection as well. And also, an amazing dancer.
Great. It's a really well written piece and a really well written
part.
role, and you're drawn on this journey from start, and it makes sense. Every character choice makes sense. The narrative is sold really well. She has real believability,
Yeah.
and I'm on board. They have this real crescendo moment when they get to, I guess, the ball, whatever it is. The
prom, sort of.
The prom,
Well, it's the Sadie
which
Hawkins
I thought
dance,
was
isn't it?
great.
Yeah.
It was really, they worked fantastically together.
And that's the point. Their chemistry was so believable. She is one to watch, guys. She is going to go on to be West End leading lady material. Mark my word for it. And it's starting right here with a Break a Leggers nomination for Best Supporting
Boom.
Actress.
There we go.
Sienna Kelly in the role of Anne Margaret. Just trust me, she's a future. She'll be in Dear Evan Hansen.
Do you think?
She'll play that. She'll play either the girlfriend, or actually no, she'll play the girlfriend in it. She could do it.
Do you think?
She's a West End
Okay,
leading lady.
watch this space.
I love her. She's.
Well,
gonna
we didn't hear her
be amazing.
sing. We saw her move,
Well, I
and
can
we
see
saw her
in her
act. She's a great actress.
I can see in her credits that she's done On the Town at Regent Park Open Air.
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
assuming she's a triple threat. I mean, you have to be now to survive in this industry, right?
Yeah, she was great.
Also, quickly mention Ruth Madeley in the role of Book, sort of a bit of a comic foil for what I would say, sort of like a sidekick to Dick. Like a best friend. A sidekick.
No one wants a sidekick
No one
in
wants
the
a
dick.
sidekick. A sidekick in the dick.
No, sidekick. Yes, she was.
Yeah.
The ensemble were great.
Yeah.
If I've got another pullback of this piece, I think the most well-formed parts were Anne and Richard and
Yeah.
Dick, the kind of two central characters. All the others were a bit almost stereotypical. 'Cause it was-
Caricaturish.
yeah, so lacked depth for me, and that's where I think if it was taken on by Netflix, then they could flesh other roles out so that they weren't encompassing them.
I think when you do an
one
hour
person.
and 50 straight through, you've got to put in those real heightened characteristics just to drive a point home.
Which
you
they
don't
did.
have the time to build on subtlety,
Yeah.
so you don't have that sort of. You want to find the reasons that those characters have got to the position that they're in, but you only have that with the luxury of time. Like I say, either 2 acts or a 6-part series.
But they delivered it really well.
They did deliver it really well, all
Pace,
in all.
energy, fluid, supporting company.
Brill. Let's round it up.
I guess we're rounding up. How much are we going to give Teenage Dick, currently playing here at the Donmar Warehouse?
We're going to give. But before you do,
Full stop.
hit subscribe if you want to see more of us. And we're over on Instagram as well. We've posted some fun little pics from our time here at the Donmar and elsewhere, so see behind the scenes with us. Anyway, Teenage Dick at the Donmar, we're going to give
4 stars for this
really
piece.
strong piece. Brilliantly acted, celebrating diversity,
Yeah,
celebrating
representative,
actors with different
gets
abilities.
all of our thumbs up. It's how theatre should be.
It's how theatre should be.
Yeah.
It's well written, but you know what? It feels like it's not quite finished. It could be a 5-star show if it was bigger, if it had scale. It feels like the strongest of starts here, but this has got potential even further than this production.
Yeah, this piece touches on some really interesting issues, really important issues that are nice to explore, and you get on board with the story. It makes sense and it's fun.
It's gone to show once again that Shakespeare's plot devices will never, ever, because humans don't change all that much,
Never say never.
go out of fashion. They will always, always be relevant. And that's why he's the greatest playwright that ever lived.
But hey, that's just what I think.
That's just what I think. What do you think? Let us know down below if you're catching Teenage Dick. A few empty seats tonight.
I don't understand why. This is a really good piece. Snap up a seat here at the Donmar.
The Donmar. It's a
Quickly.
lovely space.
Yeah,
it's a lovely
seriously, come and
space.
see this.
We're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.